I'm going to jump straight in to this because there's a lot to get through. Kevin, because you're on my top left, I'm going to start with you. If you could give us a little background on you and your kind of career to date in reflection of the topic.
All right, good. Hi, everyone. This is Kevin Lee, currently Chief Product Officer at eBay Korea, here in Korea. So to the point that was made earlier, I was, and I'm still is, I think, hardcore UX designers. I got educated in the UX, and I spent my last 18 years or so just in UX field in various industries, from healthcare to consumer electronics, consumer goods, e-commerce, and then the payment, and back to the e-commerce now as a product person. So I think today's conversation will be a lot around how do you or need to not just look upward from your own discipline perspective, which is nothing wrong with it, but you should take an opportunity when there is one to boldly decide to go a lateral to a different discipline, because at the end of the day, UX is not a singular discipline responsibility. It's a collection of everyone. So I think, so for me, it's kind of worked out in the right time, right place with the right opportunity that requires my skill set and experience to be worked out. But at the same time, the employer perspective, they also have to look for someone like that will be benefiting. So it has to be mutually agreed and understandable from that sense. But anyway, but that's my short introduction. I look forward to talk to other panelists about some stimulating topics that you guys will find interest.
Yeah, Faten, how about you? So tell us about your brave move to Australia and being from an engineering perspective.
Thanks, Catherine. So my story is a bit different than Kevin, as I studied telecommunication engineering at university, got my master's degree in telecommunication engineering and programming. Then I landed my first job as a developer, writing code, C# and .NET, as she was saying in the previous talk. My engineering degree and my passion for technology and software development in general led me to my next role as a mobile software engineer. And from there, things changed, as like my next career move was to do support for a SharePoint application at that time. I used a lot of my development skills in working as support engineer, as it helped me a lot in resolving like complex customer issues and troubleshooting. And then from support, I moved again to consultancy role, where I was working with QA testers, training them and providing them like workshops and training sessions on testing tools. And currently I work as a solution engineer at GitHub, where I work very closely with the sales team at GitHub, and I work with customers in APAC, from small businesses to enterprises all over APAC. So you can see that in my journey is very different, as I started developer, support, consultancy, trainer, solution engineer, but one common thing between all my different roles is that it's always around the software development lifecycle. It's always the software development and technology is at the heart, at the center of all the different roles that I took. And I like the diversity of what I'm doing right now. And at the same time, I feel I can bring a lot from my development skills that I use in my current job, as well as in my previous job. So I always used my technical skills. I always brought my authentic knowledge and skills into every single job that I took. But as you can see, it's not all the same. And this is kind of a summary of my career progress. And as I mentioned, it's all around the software development lifecycle. And I feel that having that diversity and that knowledge helps me to bring something very different, a different perspective to the table, something new that other people might not have the privilege to have.
Sorry, and yeah, that's really great, Faten. And Ash, can you talk about your move from India to the US and then back to and then to Singapore? Kind of similar reflection almost to what Kevin has been doing.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Kathy. A quick introduction of me. I'm Ashwin. I'm the Senior Director of Product for Food Panda Singapore. And I agree with Kevin, right? There's nothing wrong in moving lateral in your own function. My journey, I'm from a middle-class family in India. Like every brown parent, they forced me to become an engineer. Fortunately, I became a good one. And ended up in the US, like every brown kid dreams, right? I was in IBM, typical software consulting services company. I have a bit of a funny story how I moved from engineering to product. Naturally, I'm a very curious person. Back in the days, about 16, 17 years ago, engineers were treated as people who just code. They don't need to know the why, right? Here is your task, go code. Yeah, funny, those .NET languages, Microsoft DFS. And every time there was a new task given to me, I would go and ask my manager, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why? And everything comes in, I have 100 questions for him. So he couldn't take those questions. And he was like, look, there is an opening in the business analytics team where they need an engineer because they don't understand the engineering point. And naturally, you're curious, why not you move there? I was like, okay, let's try that. So I moved into business analyst. Back in the days, business analyst was the fancy name for product. And when I went to the team, I realized that the importance of knowing why, because what I was doing was completely different than the why, right? I could not connect what metrics and business impact we are trying to drive from the engineering side. And in the previous, and Shadil was saying, engineers were not involved in the early discussion and sessions, and so wasn't I involved. And that's how I started my, say, product journey, understanding UX, importance of design, importance of business metrics, how do you engage the customers. And I took a lot of risks in my life without thinking what's going to happen, right? I was in a very safe space of IBM, consulting, no job security. I was trying to explore what it means to be in product. So I made a couple of good moves. Some were good, some were bad. And in the US, I traveled around all of the small startup companies because started just happening there back then. Realized, okay, some are founder-led companies, some don't understand what you want to do. And then Rocket happened to me where they were starting Zalora in Southeast Asia. And that's when my first true learning started as a product guy, because I understood how the business is run, how the product needs to be built for the consumers. And of course, being from an engineering background helps to decide how you want to build a software product. And naturally, I was with a lot of diverse set of people where I learned that there's a different ideas coming through which can actually be implemented, which engineers are unaware of, right? That's been my journey, and I've been in Singapore for 7 years, and I'm still learning about the culture, the people, the customers, the product that you build. That's a very, very, very short and sweet experience of my last 17 years.